Welcome in. This is an exclusive breaking news show. Nate McMillan has been fired from the Atlanta Hawks. It's your boy Bryce Lewis back at it again, here to give you instant reaction to that news. And this is a move we've seen coming. I thought it would happen at the end of the year, but Landry Fields, Kyle Korver have decided to go ahead and make the move. And now going into the last part of the season, last 20, I believe the Hawks have 23 games left. I believe 22, 23 games left of the year. We will see what this team will look like under interim coach Joe Prunty, who is named the interim head coach for this team. Obviously, that's somebody who you always kind of figured if they did let go of Nate, he would be the guy. Just a couple of quick hitters on Prunty. Prunty, I'm probably saying his name wrong. I'm sorry. Prunty, or however you say it, 21-16 as the Bucks interim head coach in 2018. They lost to the Boston Celtics in 7 games that year. Now, landing right now 29-30. 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. So we'll see what he can do with this team. Yeah, like I said, I wasn't expecting this to happen. This was big. Big that they made this move. Big that they went ahead and said, listen. And I get it. Remember, they moved. They traded for Bay. They got more depth. I mean, they clearly, this to me shows the regime really actually expected to be better this year and to be more competitive this year. And they haven't been. And that's why they're making this move. That's why they're making this move. They're making this move because just need to get some more light. It was a little dark, guys. A little dark in the beginning. But they're making this move because they had to make the move. And I completely understand it. People have been begging, asking for Nate McMillan's job. And remember, earlier in the season, he contemplated stepping down, but apparently they begged him to stay. And now, after the All-Star break, they have decided to finally let him walk away from this team. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Obviously, you could see players were not in tune with Nate McMillan. A lot of people said maybe they were tuned out. Kirschner went on a Spaces, I believe, right before the All-Star break and kind of, gave some interesting tidbits pointing towards dysfunction within the organization with players in relationships with Nate McMillan. And now it just continues today. So this is obviously a big deal for all Hawks fans. You finally get this, maybe Christmas for Hawks fans. I don't know. Obviously, I don't condone anybody losing their job. He has family, obviously his son's on the coaching staff and everything like that. So hopefully, I don't know what Nate's next steps will be. I wish him the best. I wish him for leading us to the Eastern Conference Finals. I appreciate everything he's done for this organization during his time here. But it was time to make the move, and the Hawks made that move. And so we're going to some coaching candidates that they say that the Hawks may look into. One person that Woj pointed out maybe at the top of that list is Quinn Schneider, former head coach of the Utah Jazz. I mentioned in a tweet, if you go on Twitter, follow me at Brycey_2K, that I believe that Quinn Schneider really maximized that team with Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. I believe that he got the most out of that team he could. And, for me, I feel like he did what he could with that team. He got them as far as he could, but they just didn't have enough talent to get over the top. And really the biggest thing that you want is maximization. Adrian Wojnarowski also said the top characteristics they want in a search: player development, which I have screamed that Nate McMillan has completely abandoned. He has said on multiple occasions, player development is not important because he says we ain't developing. You can't say that, especially 2 years ago when your top players are 23, 24, and 25. You can't say that. You literally can't. You have young players. They're not polished. They're not developed. They still need building. They still need coaching. They need accountability. That was the second thing that they're looking for in a top head coach characteristic is accountability. Players were not being held accountable maybe from that perspective. Maybe Nate was not holding guys accountable. And when they did, players did not respect his authority. Obviously, you remember what happened earlier this year with Trey Young and Nate McMillan, the issues about him wanting to get treatment on his injury. Nate said, okay, well, if you're not going to play, then you're not, if you're not going to go to warm up, then you're out. And Trey was like, all right, I'm out. So maybe that was it. And then getting the Hawks offense and defense to get it to the league's top 10. Realistically, if you look at this team, it's real. I think it's possible. Like, if you think about the starting lineup, which is statistically one of the best starting lineups in the league when they actually play together, injuries have been a big part of that. They're one of the best lineups in point differential and defensive rating this year. They have a very balanced starting lineup. Your worstest defender is Trey, and then you have DeJounte is a good defender, DeAndre is a good defender, Collins is a good defender, Clint is a good defender. But yet they still have these defensive games where they just let 130, 140, 120 up. And you're like, what is going on? And even off the bench, Obviously, Bogey's not the best defender. AJ's an improving defender. Jalen's a strong defender. I'm really excited for what this could be for him potentially. Clint Capella's noticed. I mean, not Clint Capella. Ogyeka Okongwu is meant as a good defender as well. You brought in Shanique Bay. We'll see what he can do under this, under Joe, and see if things work out there. There's a good enough defensive switch between both sides of the ball where this team could be better than what they are. And I felt like, and I've always said this, I felt like Nate McMillan never truly maximized the potential and talent of these players and utilized their skill set efficiently. And that's why they have struggled and been extremely inconsistent. People have mentioned on multiple occasions, it feels like this team has no system. It's like, just go out there and play and figure it out. And that's how it seemed like. And when you have that type of a system, I think, you're going to see an inconsistent play on a night in and nightly basis. Now, obviously, in saying all this, not all of this is on Nate McMillan. The players have taken responsibility. Some guys were not making shots. Some guys were not following assignments. Some guys were just not getting the job done. And so I don't want it to be like a complete Nate McMillan crap show. But Nate McMillan is a big cause of that because he is the head man. He is the guy who's supposed to get the troops ready to play night in and night out. And there were just too many nights this year the Hawks were not ready to play. Example, first quarter against Orlando, I think it was the third time we matched up with them. They scored 50 in the first quarter on us. Completely unacceptable. Charlotte, we lost 3 times to it this year. Literally the worst team in this league. We lost to them 3 times out of 4. That's completely unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. So the Hawks finally have made this decision. Some other guys I'm going to mention, I forgot to mention the head coaching race as well. Kenny Atkinson, a guy who, again, I've always been high on Kenny. He took that Nets team, not really a true superstar, but have a lot of good players, maximized their potential, and they were competitive. I mean, they pushed Philadelphia in that playoff series. They did. They were a very competitive bunch of guys, and if they go after him, I wouldn't be mad at it either. And then Charles Lee assisted for $1. I also mentioned this as potentially in the past as a potential guy that could come into the Hawks. Usually these situations, maybe a top assistant coach who hasn't gotten an opportunity yet can now get the opportunity to be able to coach. So, those are 3 guys that they're aiming for. We'll see who else may be on that list. I know a lot of people are asking for Ime Udoka. I completely understand, eBay is a guy, after what happened, he was suspended for a year. He's probably going to get actually officially, quote unquote, let go by Boston after this year. Why wouldn't he be in the race? We'll have to see if maybe he does get an interview with this team. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, we look at his basketball on the floor performance. He got a team to the finals. We can look at off the field and say we don't want that, but on the field or on the court, he got him to the finals. Simple as that and everything. But obviously, those are going to be some big things. I'm interested to see how this team responds. Nate McMillan is done, and if they truly disconnected from Nate, how will they respond? Will they come out of the All-Star break with a new renewed sense of energy, kind of like they did when Lloyd Pierce was fired? Or will they kind of still play the same way? We don't really know. I think this team's going to be in a play-in game at least. So we're going to get one more game after game 82 this year. I just don't know if it's going to be what play-in game, if we have to play 2 play-in games, or are we going to potentially get into a top 16? Because realistically, at the end of the day, it feels like this team has way too much talent to have happened what has happened this year. Way too much talent. And like I said, I'm excited for guys like AJ Griffin. I'm excited for guys like Jalen Johnson. We've said of the day, he doesn't like young players. He doesn't like developing. He said he don't want to develop. You got AJ Griffin. Maybe he could get more minutes. Jalen Johnson, I feel like even with Shanique Bay on the team, there's no reason for Jalen to get off to lose minutes. He can help this team. He's one of our strongest defenders and super athletic, a good passer. He can probably maybe play some point forward. So I'm interested to see what Prunty or Prunty's, idea of what he wants to do with him. If he, I mean, obviously you have, I believe the Hawks play again on Friday, I believe they play Cleveland on Friday. So he has a couple of days to kind of figure out what he wants to do with the team in the rotation. I'm sure they're going to have a team meeting, talk about it, everything like that. So it's just going to be very interesting to see what happens with everything. I'm sure I didn't get anything, but I'm not going to make this video too long. But yeah, guys, like I said, Nate McMillan, no longer head coach of the Atlanta Hawks. I know the Hawks fans are rejoicing right now. Already looking towards the future. The Hawks have already started their head coaching search. So I've said this, I'll say this last thing before I let y'all guys go. This needs to be a very extensive search. They need to interview many people. They need to make sure they get the right guy. This is the first big decision of the Kyle Korver, Landry Fields general manager era, because they need to make the right decision. You have too much talent. You have a star player who wants to win for the city. If you don't hit this and the Hawks continue to struggle, Trey Young may be out the building, and this team may be back to where they were just a few years ago. And nobody really wants that within the organization. So we're going to have to see what happens. But it's your boy, Bryce Lewis. We'll see you next time.